and I will not be silenced.
But none of y'all find it weird that out of all the things he celebrates, it's our
Yeah, you are seriously on some white fragility.
I do not care about Vato Dan's toilet wine.
And I certainly don't have to answer to you.
Is this because you don't think that your boyfriend's a genius?
No, it's that you don't think I'm one.
Hey guys, it's Nim. What's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now before we get started, it is so hot that I have my fan on. So I connected my mic. So if the audio sounds different, it's because of my mic. I actually just got done looking for different mics because my mic is kind of tiny. I don't want to pick it up because it's in a good spot right now. But anyways, I'm wearing a shirt. It's so hot, guys. Like, you have no idea, guys. Pretoria weather. Anyways, welcome back to the deep dive series. If you are new here and you don't know what the deep dive series is, this is basically where I sit down, I do my makeup, and I dive deep into a certain topic or certain topics. And so for today's video, we are going to be diving deep into grownish. A commentary on grownish, and I did say that I would do a deep dive, so that is what we are doing today. Grownish is a series that has been making waves in the black entertainment industry since it came out in 2018. Grownish is a spin-off of the series Blackish, created by Kenya Barris, and it follows the character Zoey Johnson, which is Andre Johnson, the main character of Blackish's daughter. And Zoey is played by Yara in both Blackish and Grownish. The show follows her as she embarks on her journey to college, and she goes to Cal U, which I also just recently found out is not a real college, so doesn't exist. It's a coming of age story that explores Zoey as she embarks into college and as she now has to grow in college. So I'm not flipping you off. I'm sorry. It's supposed to explore the ups and downs of young adulthood as well as the challenges of newfound independence as a college student. But some, if not all, of the challenges posed are just unrealistic, whether it's the way that the characters deal with the challenges or whether it's the challenges that are just being posed in general. Like someone pointing at you and saying that they want to go on their basketball journey with you when they go pro is so unrealistic, and the way that Zoey handles it is completely unrealistic. So would that happen to you in college? If you've been to college, because I haven't, maybe that's an everyday occurrence. Maybe that's just a regular Tuesday. Absolutely not. Yo, there was just a wasp by my window, guys. I'm sorry. Anyways, this is so unprofessional of me, red bro. It's hot. Now, I will say that one of the show's strongest strengths is their diverse casting. I think they do an amazing job at the casting and not making it just an all-black cast or an all-white cast. It shows us Zoey's new friends and brings a new mix of personalities into the show as well. So it's not just their race, it's not just sexuality, but it's also their personalities and their background. And her list of friends include Anna, Nomi, Vivek, Aaron, Luka, and Sky and Jazz. And each character really brings their own experiences and their own new perspectives onto the show, so that we're not stuck into being persuaded into only Zoey's vision of the world. Although Grownish makes quite a few issues within developing these characters' storylines. They start off by giving us, storylines for these characters in the first episode, but then after that, it starts to just dwindle into like only like a couple characters having storylines, and all of those storylines have to do with like Zoe and their relationship with Zoe, when that's not really what they started off by leading us with in the first episode. You know, you assume that since they've introduced all of these new storylines, we're going to get all of these new storylines and get to dive deeper. But I feel like we don't really get to see that. We don't learn much about Luka, and he's one of Zoe's main love interests. We don't learn much about him except for the fact that he likes to smoke and drink, and that he likes to draw. Kind of boring if you ask me, but that's just my personal opinion. I think other than that, you can kind of gather something about Luka because him and Zoe are very similar. You know, they're quite narcissistic. So, you know, they have that trait in common, so we don't have to guess. But otherwise, we learn about Vivek, and honestly, Vivek deserves so much justice. We learn that Vivek is a dealer, and that his parents are strict, and that his parents want to see him succeed as an engineer. But otherwise, we don't learn anything else about him. And we only see him and his parents interact once or twice in the whole entire show. And that really frustrates me because I feel like a lot of the time the writers of Grownish kind of just use Vivek's storyline as a fallback in order to move the story along. So he never really has an engaging storyline that will fall into the next episode. It'll be that one episode just so that they can move the story forward. We don't really get to see Vivek's dynamic with a lot of the characters, except for that he's just the weird friend. And the sad thing about Sky and Jazz's storyline is that in all shows where they, you know, are portraying black excellence and when they want to define a new culture for people of color, they always have to bring in a black woman that can be the stereotype. And that is sadly the story for Sky and Jazz.
Their Simi Valley accent, the twins from Tyler Perry's The Shining were actually from the hood.
When they were cast, you can tell that they cast them in order to make sure that there's a stereotypical black girl, that there's someone for people to be like, ah, there's the black girl, there's the girl that's not whitewashed, there's the girl that's different from Zoe because they didn't grow up with money, so they're the real black girls because black people don't have money. You know what I mean? Like they are immediately brought. You see that in episode 1, season 1, right off of the bat. They obviously change the way that they are and change the way that they act around certain people and around people with higher power, people who have power over them, even staying at the university, which is normal. Like, I understand that, but why not just let them be those characters? Why do we have to give them the essence of the stereotypical black girl from Atlanta? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do we have to have that stereotype? And I think that's the thing that has always pissed me off, is that Sky and Jazz were casted, especially like in the first season, in the second season, we see that they are simply just there so that there is a stereotypical black girl, because Zoe's not the stereotypical black girl. She grew up with money, she grew up with both of her parents present. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just stuff like that that they obviously needed to keep into the show, and as an underlining thing that at the end of the day, all black girls are the same. And the only way that you can change from being the typical black American is if you act a certain way, if you chew your gum loudly, and if you have absolutely no character except for the fact that you are some girl from the South. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just something that I wanted to touch on. Now, let's actually talk about the development of these characters, because the truth is there is no development and there is no growth. There is none of that. There's no grownish people in the show. In season 4, the final season, where all of the friends that were initially brought onto the show are all together, these people are still the same, and there is absolutely no growth in the way that they act from the first season and the first episode that we really saw them interact. This makes a ton of sense because they are all still friends. And I know being so pessimistic, being like, when you're in college, you lose friends and you gain friends, and this, that. But the problem is that it's true. Like, there's no I'm lying. It's true. You're gonna lose the friends that you made your freshman year because people are supposed to grow. None of them truly grew up. They just graduated college. To me, it doesn't really make any actual sense that all these people are still friends.
Take my crew, for example. We had a rule for everything. Outfit check-ins to avoid dressing alike, texting good morning as soon as we woke up, never ever ever letting our phones die, and of course, group approval on all photos.
After this episode, I am really baffled at all of these people still being friends and still being as close as they were in the first season of the show. It was quite obvious that Zoey had broken the trust of Doug, Jazz, and also strained her relationship with her boyfriend at the time, Luka. The episode showcased a kissing booth like storyline where the friendship has spoken rules that are laid down that you have to follow no matter what. The rules obviously impact their friendship a whole lot. Like, it's not like the rules aren't going to, because they're spoken rules, they're on the table. And the problem why this whole thing happened was because there was no rule for what to do when you see your friend's boyfriend at a party, but there's no rule for it, which makes no sense. Why do people allow spoken rules to control their friendship? It's unrealistic that people have spoken rules that are laid down in the friendship to make sure that nothing happens, because you can't always control that something's going to happen and a rule is going to be in place, so you're going to know how to deal with it. That's unrealistic. That's not gonna happen. Unspoken rules are they're there. Like, we know that unspoken rules exist. It's not like there's no such thing as an unspoken rule. That's understandable. I'd be annoyed if someone posted an ugly ass photo of me, but also the unspoken rule is don't post photos of me without my permission unless it's my birthday and you want to mock me, or unless we took a fun photo together. And it's funny, like, I just think that there's a difference. Or don't talk to my ex without my knowledge. That's all normal stuff. Like, that's unspoken because people have common sense. You shouldn't have to have rules to dictate your friendship, especially since this friendship is already so messy in the first place. Like, during this time, Zoey is with Luka, but her friend Anna is seeing Aaron. There's once again a blurred line there. There are way too many lines that are just crossed, that you can't really have rules in such a messy friendship, in my personal opinion. Me personally, I wouldn't do that, but that's just me. One thing I truly appreciate about Grownish is that they tackle a wide range of real life, real issues in the world. From relationships to identity exploration to mental health and substance abuse, the show doesn't really shy away from the difficult topics that come up in everyday life and that are very prevalent in someone's college journey. The show doesn't really allow for people to just live by the whole ignorance is bliss thing, because Zoe definitely has many moments where she'll say something or she'll do something like out of pure ignorance and out of not really thinking about the consequences of her issues. and then everyone puts her in check, even other friends within the friendship group.
Yeah, maybe I did borrow some things from the people here at Hawkins, but not because I was trying to steal anything, I just think you guys are dope.
I get it.
Grownish basically forces you to learn about these issues because it's important for someone to know about these issues. You can't just go around in life thinking that everything is completely perfect in the world. Trust, girl, trust. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. This world, there's no such thing. Learning about racial issues, especially when you're watching something for pure entertainment, is so important because people tend to retain stuff that they've been learned that's not forcefully learned and that's not told like it's education, because you don't want to go around living your life committing acts of microaggressions and complete and blatant racism when you don't even realize it, or homophobia, or misogyny, or just degrading people. It helps you live a life where you're not in complete blatant disregard for the lives of others and the prejudicial views of other people that people have towards a group of people that couldn't choose how they were born. Grownish also explores interracial relationships.
Theirs is rooted in a shared cultural experience because both of them are black. We'll never have that. And no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to get past it.
Where Sky has to deal with finding out that her Rodney is actually just simple Rodney and that he's not just really light skinned. This is a seriously important topic because I see stuff like this all the time, like just in everyday life, where people will try and take away from a woman's blackness or a man's blackness simply just because of the fact that they are dating a white person. Our ancestors did not fight, did not struggle, not on the struggle bus for years and years, and did not deal with segregation and did not deal with striking and signing petitions to just be allowed to go to school with other white people. For us in the 21st century to try and strip someone of their blackness for people taking advantage of opportunities, you can't like you can't do that. You can't go around and allow for people to date whatever, but when it comes within your race and seeing someone of your race falling in love with somebody else, that's when we've crossed the line. I think that is so important for people to realize that is so harmful, to strip someone away of their blackness simply just because they are dating a white person. There are way too many issues in the world for you to have problems with that, love. I don't understand passing judgment on biracial relationships simply just because it's unnecessary to call someone out for dating a white person. And this might be a little bit controversial, but there are definitely bigger issues in the world than a biracial relationship. But the show does a great deal of also showing diversity within black relationships. Within the on and off relationship of Zoey and Aaron, which I'm actually going to do a deep dive in just on itself, just don't expect it like tomorrow, okay? Don't expect that from me. But I am going to do a deep dive just on Zoey and Aaron alone. And I do think that their relationship allows for people to understand that black people come from different backgrounds. Not all black people are the same. It allows for people to not just generalize all black people. You see that someone's gonna come from privilege, someone's gonna come from a struggle, but at the end of the day, we're all still black people. Oops. Just because of the way that you were raised cannot take away from your blackness. And I definitely struggle with that a lot. I'm from South Africa. My accent, I don't, on a regular basis, I don't speak Zulu, I don't speak Sotho, I don't speak Xhosa, I don't speak any of those languages. I speak English, right? and I don't have like a thick Zulu accent. I don't have that, and people constantly called me whitewash and tried to strip away from the black woman that I am. And once again, were raised differently. My mom was raised differently. She's going to raise me differently from the way your mom was raised, from the way your father was raised. It just shows that there's diversity within us, one community of people. Aaron Jackson and Zoe Jackson's relationship leads to some really interesting perspectives and dynamics brought to the table, as well as the discussion of mental issues within the black community.
I understand your frustration, Raphael. I do. But I gathered you guys here to discuss mental health. That's what we need. No, we need, guys, come on, we need this. The school gave me this cool little crisis prevention handbook, and I just want to float a few questions by you.
I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this episode, but in this episode, they show how it is truly so difficult for a black person to come forward with mental issues.
Does anyone have a history of mental illness in their family?
No? Granddaddy Vikash heard voices.
Okay, good.
In the black community in general, it's very difficult to come forward with a mental challenge that you are having, simply just because that is classified as that's a white people thing. Do you know what I mean? So the struggle of having to come forward for a mental challenge is so difficult. And I love that in that episode, that strikes something in Aaron's brain as a, what do they call them? Student res, whatever the hell.
The RA, the therapist, the janitor, the landlord. You know, what's next? The sharecropping?
This isn't about your farming aspirations.
Someone who is looking over freshman students and looking over a young group of people, having to learn that people are struggling and that he needs to open his eyes because, yeah, sorry. From episode 19 on, Aaron is going on a journey and embarking on a journey to help people with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think that that is so important for people to just go and watch. So even if you're skipping through, go from episode 19 onwards and I guess just watch as the revelations come forward. Like episode 19 was really nice to watch and to see that sometimes people just need a safe space. Sometimes people don't feel safe even in a safe space. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes a safe space still feels absolutely scary to open up in, which is why I think that even if someone were to go to therapy, it'll take them so long to even open up. But don't just forget that therapy is there. You know, people didn't go to school just to study and not help out. You know, some people go for selfish reasons, you know, to learn about themselves, but then afterwards, now they've gotten the degree, so they want to help other people. I think it's important to understand, not only as a black person, but especially as black people where emotions are dismissed a lot, it's important for us to understand that it's not an issue to come forward. And that's what I really appreciate about that episode. But grownish doesn't just limit itself at black and white issues. It also goes into the issues of people of other races and other sexualities.
Save Hawkins Hall! Black don't should matter!
Save Miss One! Save Miss Fraud! Save Miss One! Save Miss Fraud!
What a surprise. You know, you're profiting off my work. Historically, that's what conservatives have always done, so you're on the right track. Good job.
Okay, dude,
In this episode, we watch Anna as she struggles with her identity of people just treating her like a stupid person, like she doesn't have any real views, and just treating her once again as just a Latina stereotype, not allowing for her to just have her own voice, because we don't realize that at the end of the day, everyone sees people as a stereotype until you really talk to them, unless, you know, you're matured and grown and realize that different people are born. You know, it's not just one person from 1980 just making carbon copies of themselves. So I really do appreciate that episode and appreciate the fact that they allow for there to be diverse issues when Nomi is struggling with her sexuality and telling her parents, because she doesn't want to be known as their bisexual daughter. She just wants to be known as their daughter. And I think it's very difficult to like do that, to stop labeling your child as something. Like, it's so difficult because now you know your child as this person, but you know that your child doesn't obviously want to be labeled as this, and you don't want to be labeled as just this, as one sexuality or one race. You have a personality separate from your sexuality, separate from your race. So
Because we love you.
So much.
If I was with someone who I thought was homophobic or anti-Semitic, I wouldn't be sitting here trying to make them feel better. In fact, I wouldn't be friends with them at all. So if you guys think that I'm like racist or problematic or whatever, then why would you still want to be friends with me?
society has developed, and I think we all just need to develop along with society. I think the people that are wasting their time hoping that we're gonna go back to the 1950s are the same people who are just ruining our chances of true development. Like, there are bigger problems in the world than someone's sexuality. Ever heard of bombing? Have you ever heard of the Holocaust?
Have you ever heard of like the Holocaust?
No? Look it up and then tell me how bad it is compared to someone's sexuality. I cannot stress enough how unrealistic it is that these people's college experience is just not realistic. Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me, and I think it doesn't make sense simply just because, like, college is more than just like relationships and parties. Like, you are struggling to figure out whether you're in the right degree, whether you do you see this highlighter? Like, I'm so sorry, but like, I know that people party in college, and I know that it's not unrealistic that people party. What's unrealistic is that these parties are not getting shut down when they get too rowdy, except for one episode. There's one episode where this party genuinely gets shut down. Otherwise, when else? When else? Because someone would shut it down. Even if the student, like college res, is busy partying, there's another resident there that's like, guys, like, can you not party? Like, shut the hell up. People will be partying every night, and I think that that's just crazy. Y'all don't have finals? You guys don't have exams? Like, hello? I think one of my favorite things, though, is that they use fashion to convey, like, to help with social justice situations. In the episode where Aaron comes to Zoey to try and make a movement, I think that that's really important to show that fashion is definitely an expression, and it definitely works in the way that people want it to. So I really do appreciate that about the show and whoever is the stylist. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you enjoyed this deep dive. I honestly did enjoy it. Like, I think it's another way of touching on some serious topics in my own way, in the way that I can, and the way that I can express myself. Also, hope you guys like the look. Who am I? Nikki Tutorials Bestie. Goodbye. Yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to like, subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for subscribing recently. Like, we just hit, I think when I'm filming this, we're at 136 subscribers, which is crazy. So thank you guys so much. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Thank you, 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 thank you. But anyways, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys all next week. Bye, besties. I just have another deep dive on the way. That is actually something that I wanted to touch on, but this video is too long for me to touch on the fact that I don't know if I might just become a full-on deep dive channel, because these things take a lot out of me, and they take a lot of work. And so I think a lot of people like the deep dives, and I really enjoyed them. So if you start seeing only deep dives, don't be upset. I'm just not gonna overwork myself, you know what I mean? But yeah, bye besties. Mwah!